Hello, ladies and gents! We will have a really exciting schedule this week, and to kick things off in style, let's have a look at a recently released premium Tier 7 carrier in World of Warships, the Saipan. That's right, everyone's favorite stomping machine from way back is now back in the game after going through a series of extensive changes. Now, if you are relatively new to the game, you might be wondering, what was the old Saipan like? Well, it was quite overpowered in terms of its fighters. Being at tier 6 back at the time, it was absolutely massacring same and lower tier planes. So if you did see one of these bad boys on the enemy team, you just knew that you had a rough game ahead of you. Eventually, it was removed with patch 0.3.1, and the reworked Independence took its place at tier 6, while the USS Bogue was introduced as the new tier 5 US carrier. If you are interested in a bit more details, or maybe if you would like to know more about the history of the real-life USS Saipan, I put the link to my original review in the description below. Right now, however, let's focus on what this new Tier 7 premium carrier can offer, especially compared to its same tier competition, the Ranger and the Hiryu. Going through the basics first, the Saipan has a few surprising aces up its sleeve, one of which is the amount of armor this thing has. With up to 152mm of protection, smaller guns firing at it might be better off shooting HE probably. This is completely the opposite of the paper armor that the Ranger has, and it's even better than the Japanese armor plating at this tier. At the same time, it has the least HP from this current Tier 7 trio, though the difference is basically negligible. Maneuverability is interesting once again. It's one of the fastest with 33 knots, and it has the sharpest turning circle, well, if you can call an above 900-meter turning circle sharp that is, but it's the rudder shift time that's quite ugly with 15.9 seconds, so you won't be pulling off many crazy last-minute evasions, I'm afraid. Concealment, on the other hand, is not bad. From the sea, you will get spotted from 11.9 kilometers away, while from the air, 12.7 kilometers is the magic range, both of which are better than the Ranger's, the regular Tier 7 US carrier statistics. Staying with protection for a second, while overall its defenses are comparable with its rivals, there are some key differences. The AA guns, although powerful, are only live within a range of 3.5 kilometers, so overall they won't be something that you can safely rely on. As for your anti-ship capabilities, well, you have your planes and your armor, and that's about it, as unlike other CVs at this tier, you actually don't have any dual-purpose guns that could fire at those pesky destroyers. You really have to rely on your speed, your planes, and your teammates to help you out of those sticky situations. No wonder secondary armament saves for you, I'm afraid. And finally, the part that everybody's really interested in, the aircraft. Well, the Saipan is still very special, though not the same way as it used to be. First of all, the good news. You will get Tier 9 aircraft down here at Tier 7. And the bad news, you will only have 3 of them in a squadron, at least what the fighters and torpedo bombers are concerned. Sounds awful? Well, it sort of is and sort of isn't. The fighters, that were the main strength of the original Saipan, can be absolutely trash or immensely powerful depending on how you use them. The main thing you have to learn is that if you lock down your planes in a static fighter versus fighter engagement, you will lose. Always. Number superiority combined with the dogfighting expert skill will get the better of you, Tier 9 fighter or not. Luckily, you can easily avoid this by paying attention. Your planes are considerably faster than anything you can meet from your same tier opponent, so if you don't want to fight, you'll never have to. Where your real strength lies are the strafing runs, aka the manual fighter aim, where you can exploit your DPS advantage without suffering from the 3-plane limit. A single micro squadron of yours can easily melt 2 or 3 full squadrons of enemy planes in a single strafe without even running out of ammunition. And even if you do, your planes can quickly go back to rearm and re-engage very fast. Oh, and by the way, a cool little trick. If the enemy managed to lock down one of your squadrons, especially committing several of their own squads, do a strafing run on them with another fighter group. Your first group will be destroyed too, but they were dead anyway, and now suddenly the enemy has lost 8 to 12 planes in one go. Absolutely worth it. Torpedo bombers are a tricky bunch as well. They are much faster than their tier 7 opposition, but they do have the same damage per torpedo hit, and now you only have 3 planes in a squad. While you can still do considerable amounts of damage using your narrow US torpedo spread, be very mindful of ships with good AA capabilities and even higher tier carriers. Lexington, or anything with an AA consumable, will melt you before you get to drop your torpedoes. Your otherwise good survivability just won't help you out much here. And then we didn't even mention the fact that if they force you to do a widespread, avoiding a maximum 3 torpedo widespread won't be a really difficult thing to do for most captains out there. And finally, the dive bombers, which are surprisingly good, though still not as reliable as the other two in terms of damage output. This is the only aircraft type of which you can have more than 3 planes in a squad together, a lot more actually. Your dive bomber squad will consist of 8 tier 9 planes, which is quite a force to be reckoned with. They are fast, there is a lot of them, and they carry much heavier bombs than what the other dive bombers here at tier 7 can, so they will damage the enemy with a very good percentage. But as for how much is still a little bit down to RNG. So, to sum it up, you can have a maximum of 4 squadrons with 3 planes each, excluding dive bombers that have a whopping 8 planes per group. Your total hangar capacity is 48 planes, that's a lot less than what the Ranger or the Hero you have, but of course it takes much less planes to set up a new squadron as well this time around. As for the setups, you have 2 choices. The fighter heavy setup with 3 fighter squads and 1 dive bomber squadron, and the damage dealing loadout with 2 fighters and 2 torpedo bomber squadrons. Personally, I think that overall you still have to go for the torpedo bombers if playing solo, in order to have the biggest effect possible. But I could well see the Saipan work with a fighter heavy setup as well in a group, for example, where you know that your teammates actually can dish out the direct damage. With 3 of those fighter squads, you can pretty much rule the skies if you know how to use them. So, that's the Saipan for you in a nutshell. Question is it worth it? Well, that's certainly a tricky question, especially for a specialized ship like this. Still, I think the Saipan can be enjoyable, moreover, really powerful, but you will need a bit of experience under your belt to make the most of it. The fighters are great, but you need to be really good friends with the manual fighter aim for it to work. And the torpedo bombers will suck out really badly if you attack the wrong targets with it. Still, with good target selection and good aim, you can do a lot with these tier 9 planes on this special tier 7 carrier. Oh, and by the way, the Saipan is at the moment not available for sale, at least not on the EU, but I'm quite certain that it will pop up sooner or later again in the premium shop. Alright, this was then my quick view of the new tier 7 premium US carrier, the Saipan. I hope you found this little review useful. If you did, thanks a lot for considering giving this a like or sharing it. There is still a lot more coming this week, including some giveaways with valuable prizes, so stay tuned for the rest of the week as well. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you again in one of the next videos.